Hey, it's John.
And it's Dennis. And today we're talking about the start of our vending machine business, or just the prospect stepping. uh, John, so this is the basis of the name of our podcast, right?
Yeah.
And we just want to share with you guys, just I guess, how this all kind of came to fruition. And it's kind of started off with me, you know, on YouTube and just watching random videos as usual. And what came across to me was a YouTuber called Claw Kicker. Right now he has around like 2 million subscribers, I believe. And he was I guess, a high school student when I started watching him. But he had multiple vending machines, and it was interesting to me just to see how like a young kid like that was like hustling, right? He was, came with a lot of coins and things like that, and you know, looking at the process and how he fills up a vending machine, and the opportunities, a kind of a passive income approach into making something on the side. And in addition to that, he started making YouTube videos, and he became financially successful off of it, right? So I gave the idea to John. I didn't exactly pitch it, but we just kind of talked about it. Just to be interesting to park our money per se, right? And that's where conversations had kind of evolved, and John did a lot with networking. And John, do you want to kind of share on that side of the conversation?
Yeah, no, I can share my side of the story and it's quite interesting. I think we got to rewind back a little bit for our audience. They got to know who we are, right? So I met Dennis at university and we both studied, business.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, why we're doing this podcast. We really want to, create an influence for young professionals, whether they're trying to grow in their career, maybe they're interested in side hustling. We just want to kind of do something for the community. But going back, we met in school, we weren't that close. We can say we're acquaintances, we hung out, ate lunch a few times. But then only maybe 3 years ago, 2018 maybe, or 2017, around then I think Dennis and I had a message with a group of friends, and I think that's kind of where it started. We hung out once, and then things led to another. We hung out again, and then that's where that conversation came about. And I remember it very kind of vividly and clear because I just came back from a trip from Japan, and Japan was like king of vending machines, and just seeing kind of the different vending machines was pretty awesome. And I think when Dennis mentioned that, hey, he saw that, whoa, vending machines can be a great source of passive income, that immediately intrigued me. And so we have a vending machine idea. And, hopefully this vending machine idea isn't dead and we can maybe do something about it. That's why we have this podcast to, maybe fund this potential enterprise.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my side of the story is, Dennis.
Yeah, okay. I also want to add to that too, right? So in addition to that YouTuber, I kind of where I got the idea from, I was also talking to a girl who also had like a business doing that with those claw machine to win those plush animals. Uh, I don't know exactly how successful she was. After we were talking about it, the whole pandemic happened and that conversation kind of dropped. But to our listeners, many of you might think, how is it really passive, right? Because there's so much, you might say, labor involved, right? And I would challenge that and saying, it really depends on location based, right? If you were to have it somewhere, very busy and all the time, then sure, yes, you may make a lot of stops. But at the same time, because of location wise is not available of foods and stuff around, you may be able to increase it a little bit so that it makes your trip more worth it, right? There's that tactic. And the other vending machine source would be like that claw situation, right? if you have a very attractive product that someone would want to win at a cost of, let's say, $1 or something like that, and they're unable to attain it, then the amount of times that they spend on it would make it worth it, right? So that's kind of the premise of the passive income behind the vending machine. That's why kind of sparked the idea. I'm like, maybe this is something that would make sense to think that,
Yeah.
like a case of also like a case of pop that's like what 20 cans or 25 cans. And to our international listeners, pop is like, I guess, more Canadian way of saying soda cans, right? Like that box itself, costs like $5, but you can charge to $2 each. That profit margin is pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, that is. And like what type of I guess passive income would you say this is, like asset based?
That's a great question. I haven't really dived into like different branches of passive income, but sure, sounds a little bit like asset based.
Yeah. So do you think, when I think of asset based, there's a depreciation value to that machine, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something you should be accounting for too. So I still think this is a good business idea. Don't get me wrong. But I think, now that I look back at it, and I actually networked it with someone that has over 400 vending machines, and they have a whole vending machine business. And from the sounds of it, they're doing very well. And, you know, we haven't kind of dabbled in yet, but there's still always an opportunity.
Yeah, but John, I haven't really dived into too much of the numbers, but how much would you say would be like the startup cost for if we do kind of go into this? I know that we
Yeah.
kind of put that conversation on pause ever since the pandemic happened. People are not frequent going to the office anymore or going out, but things have kind of lightened up a bit. Maybe there is opportunity for there, but if you could share some of the numbers behind it.
Yeah, no, for sure. When talked to that individual and also kind of did my own due diligence, I don't know about the claw machines. I think that's a different bucket of vending machines or machines. But the kind of regular soda and snacks machines, you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000, I guess, starting. Obviously, it might be dependent on your relationship with the vendor too. I assume this gentleman that has 400 vending machine gets a better rate than Dennis and John going in to buy a machine from them. So there's different factors in play, but I think at a minimum investment, if you and I get into this, I think we're looking at 2,500 each, give or take. And, you know, depending on the volume of traffic on the machines, you might have to kind of refer back to your videos that you watch, right? I think it's a probably actually the gentleman that owns the 400 machine told me it's a 1 year time to break even, but maybe it's just depending on location too, right? I think for us, optimistically speaking, maybe we can break even in 2 years, 2.5 years. Is that considered a worthwhile investment for you, Dennis?
Just to diversify what is available in the market as like passive income wise, I wouldn't say that's a bad idea. Just to just kind of it's money that I would not lose sleep over. You know what I mean? Like it's something kind of fun to play with, right? And to our listeners, I'm not saying I'm loaded and just drop like 2.5 G's for fun, right? I see it as just an opportunity just to learn something else. With a vending machine there, like, do we want to specialize specific snacks that are not common in the area or whatnot, right? You know, International flavors and tastes are a big thing, right? Maybe we want to set something up like that. The whole claw machine concept too was very popular, and if if you're a if you're someone from Toronto too, like I can think of a place called Vawa that's downtown in Chinatown. It's a whole area in a mall where it's only claw machines, right? And lots of people take pictures of it, and it's something that people go for, like Instagram or whatnot, right? So that was a phase two. Do we want to kind of follow that same model? Do we want to make it so that the prizes of win are very unique. There's so many elements to look at it, and I think that's part of the journey and fun of not only spending those 2.5 G's to make money, but just that like, learning experience. I think it's pretty worth it to take away from.
Yeah, you know what? No, let's just put it on air. I think if we make money off the vending plus, we can obviously try to go through this idea and use some of this funds as a social experiment. But I guess I was fortunate enough to know from someone who has 400 machines and
Mm-hmm.
kind of told me some of the prime spots to have your machines and some of the spots that you don't want to have your machines, what time of season to be careful of, and looking at the amount of work to refill the machines. That's another consideration that you and I need to take before we commit to this too, right? Are we the ones filling up the machines, or do we have someone? We got to account for that as well. But one of the things is from a company, or the best type of customer or place to put a vending machine is actually in a manufacturing warehouse where there's, I guess, logistic workers, manufacturer workers, because a lot of times, apparently, they don't bring lunch and they actually go from the vending machine to, buy a quick snack, buy a quick drink. And, those ones, have a very high, like a turnover, and you can replenish those stock very frequently versus if you have it in a, especially now in a corporate office, a lot of people are working from home. So I guess the usage rate on some of these snacks is very low and they're not being sold as fast. So, if we do go through with this idea, Dennis, I'm going to be pushing us to, hey, let's go find a manufacturer that doesn't have a machine in place and see if we can put it in.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, especially if the manufacturing company is like away from fast foods and opportunities to buy these kind of snacks and stuff like that. It kind of makes sense to me because usually with office buildings, you're surrounded with plazas and restaurants and things like that. So it gives them an option not to purchase from the machines. So I 100% agree on that. But was there any specifics on what particular snacks per se this person talked, or do we want to go a little bit more interesting route and a little bit more get more a little bit Japanese in a sense that we offer both hot and cold beverages. We offer different things and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like something very unique that we can put. Vending Plus specializes in providing these kind of items.
Yeah. The problem with that, and I did discuss with this person, and actually, I guess the entrepreneurial side of me is I did reach out to a few, I guess, Japanese vendors, and you know, yes, this individual who has the machines thought of, outsourcing different snacks, but because of the price that, he's able to buy it at, even at a volume of him buying snacks for 400 machines, the profit margin is still pretty slim for what he can charge his customers. Because um, I guess it's still a pretty tight market. It's not everyone's willing to spend maybe $4 or $3 on a snack. So I guess his model for his business is to price the snacks a little bit lower and maybe get a smaller margin on the return. But in the upside is he'll sell more products. So yes, you can diversify and, bring in the Japanese snacks and, different items that might attract people to buy it. But I think location is going to be a factor for us. And also, are we able to find the supplier that's going to, sell us the the price that we're able to, sell it back out? Because if you and I go to a local supermarket and buy already the retail price, which is marked up, we're not going to be able to put it back in the vending machine and sell it again for even higher. It's like you'll get a few, but you're not going to be able to clean out that inventory. If
Yeah.
you get what I mean. That's kind of my side, and we're sharing this with our audience, right? Like, it's always an idea, but I think we're not ready yet to pull the trigger.
Oh yeah, 100% on that. I agree on the pulling trigger. But this is the fun part of the journey, right? It's just to know what we want to sell, right? Like, do we want to just follow the generic chips and pop and chocolate, right? Like, there's an opportunity there. we live in Canada, supposedly more cold than most places, right? Maybe we offer hot beverages or something. I don't know. Maybe there's something there, right? Like I'm pretty sure in Japan, they're pretty common with that, right? Like I never been to Japan, so you might have to shine some light on that. But like there's so many vending machines that are like next to each other, right? Like I don't know if it's the same company or competitors, but there has to be some sort of working model there that we can bring to the West.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's controlled by a few big players in that space. It looks like most of the machines are very similar and kind of the placement inside is very similar. Kind of go back on the hot drink side. It's not really like they put a cup up and then it fills coffee and
Yep,
heats it up.
mm-hmm.
They heat up the can, they heat up the
Yes,
plastic bottle. So I drank it and it actually was tastes pretty good because it was like a hot bottled green tea, but I don't know if it's BPA free or whatever. I might have been drinking chemicals because you're not supposed to heat plastic, but it was just the experience of it. And having researched that for here, like, is that going to be like food safe? Obviously rules are different around the world,
mm-hmm.
but I think the idea of the hot machine would interest me if we want to diversify and go into something a little bit more niche. I have not seen a hot vending machine here in my
Yeah,
life that sells like I guess like the can and bottle drinks. I've seen machines that in the hospital they have a cup of coffee, but I don't think those are the machines we should go for because I think there's a lot more maintenance that goes on. Like, you have to
maintenance
connect that to
and
water,
yeah,
connect that to electricity, right?
yeah,
Versus those machines, maybe it's just electricity.
yeah. There's a lot of additional waste involved in those too, right? Like the whole cups, stirrers, lids, sleeves, right? Yeah, I would also stay away from that. But yeah, if we can understand, what it is that we can use to actually just heat up the whole can or bottle and stuff like that, I think it's worth going into. And like I'm just thinking itself too, right? Like vending, you can put almost a lot of things in there as a vending machine, and it might sell, right? Like I know that we're not going to be ridiculous in saying similar to airports where you can buy things like headphones and iPads and things like that, but maybe there are opportunities of selling things within that area, right? Maybe if it makes sense, universities that need like pencils and whatnot, that's a vending machine. I can't remember if Ryerson had that back in the day, but something like that. And maybe something beyond just food.
Yeah. Have you heard of this machine that's in I guess the shopping malls called Cake Boss vending machine? It's
Yes,
like
that's exactly what I was gonna mention next. That I wonder how successful he is because I think the big selling point is that because he won that show and he's supposed to be a very good baker, and the vending machine is it's part of the fun to get it right, and it's the only way to get it in Toronto, I believe.
let me Google it. Like Cake Boss Canada revenue. Like I'm just curious how much this guy's making.
Yeah,
His net worth is $10 million. So he's obviously doing something right?
yeah, and it's just fun overall, right? Because it's so much publicity. It's vending machine, it's cake where you don't really see that, and it comes in so many colors and different flavors. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I Are there vending machines for like liquor?
No, I would say no because even though liquor is able to sell in supermarket, I think there's a time cutoff where it can, and you're also at risk of minors being able to purchase it, right?
Oh, that's fair. You're right. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, because like I'm thinking back to in Montreal, right? Like the drinking age there, it's a lot different, and it's everywhere. You can find alcohol everywhere, but they still have the cutoff time. They legitimately like, bar the doors, right? So it's not the best interest to start selling alcohol. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then you also remember too, like even with Cake Boss, uh, the inventory itself, it can't last there forever. It has to be, like there is gonna be a point where people might not buy it and they have to come and take it away and replace it and things like that too, right?
I heard they sell it every day. That's how crazy it is. It's like they probably they don't refill, they refill once a day, so it's
Hmm.
like limits your supply. So it creates that
That
value too, where it's like, hey, it's like first come first serve. So
yeah, yeah.
I think it's a good business model
You
like that.
create that
That
higher
yeah,
demand and lower supply. No, and I agree with that. But maybe I'll using it as a bad example. But like you know, there are vending machines that sell food and stuff like sandwiches, things like that, right? There is
yeah,
a life
shelf life,
expectancy, life
shelf life.
shelf life. That's the word. There's a shelf life to these items, right?
Yeah,
Versus snacks and juices like that. That shelf life is much further, right? Like you can go months without replacing, and eventually it will sell within like a month or two, right? But having something that could go bad, it adds another dimension to our planning.
yeah, yeah. We would never want to give someone rotten or spoiled food, right? That's not kind of how we roll.
Yeah, no, never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's another kind of fun fact if I haven't told you already. Like apparently, I guess hotels are a bad place to have your vending machines, and also don't stock up your vending machines on like big events like Christmas or like holiday party, like Christmas time and stuff, because those are the times where I guess people drink alcohol, and alcohol plus vending machines do not mix well because well, maybe that idea I just brought up was a horrible idea, but yeah, I heard machines being like broken into, like people take the food or try to take, pry open the coin collector and take their money. And these some of these machines they're not covered by like warranty or insurance for like physical damage, right? So, that's a risk too, right? When you think of an asset, sometimes you have to get insurance on stuff. And I don't think there's insurance for vending machines unless you pay some premium for it, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But the whole I agree with the whole food situation where someone might break that in, but for the money wise, I think more advanced machines now just take cards itself, right, like credit cards. So maybe
Okay, that's
that's a less of a risk, so I'm okay with. But yeah, the whole damaging part is something to consider by, unless maybe we have like I don't even think at that point like having cameras watching it would also help because if you're drunk, you're drunk, right? It's
yeah.
you're unaware of what's happening. But no, yeah, that is something to think about. Um, and maybe there is also like not a rent fee to place vending machines in certain locations. Like, is that
There
something
is.
there
There
is,
is.
right?
So it depends on location and I guess depends on the customer. I
Mm-hmm.
heard some places they charge you for like electricity. So they would just give you a number like, hey, you want to put your machine here for, a month, it's $100 per month. So obviously, hopefully you're selling more stuff to make more than 100, then that's a profitable location. But if you have to pay an expense to keep it there and you're not selling, then I think that that's a dead location. You want to switch it up, and there's different business models out there too. There's actually a company that sells you vending machines that are already in location. So they'll sell you an account. So like
Mm-hmm.
they may say, hey, this account has 3 vending machines at X, Y, and Z location. It's making X amount of revenue per year. And then, you would pay like a lump sum for that account. And then you would have to manage those machines. So fill it up, they'll give you the schedules and all that stuff when you collect money and, you make money that way. I don't know how effective is that, but there's different ways to go about with it. You know,
Wow. Oh, interesting.
Pretty cool industry. It's it's an interesting industry, and I heard from the person I met, it's it's a kind of a gray area industry too, right? There's a bit of a not that we're gonna do that, but tax evasion and all that stuff. Yeah,
Wow. That's, it goes to show, right? Like something so simple, and it's something that doesn't really cross the mind of many people. It has such a history on that, right?
yeah, money laundering. Watch Breaking Bad.
I've seen it, yes.
Yeah, so like their car wash was like a coin car wash or something. That's where they laundered their like $30 million or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah, like it feels like it's one of those industries where like if you were in the beginning, you would have made a lot, but then once you go into it, you start you know it starts going down, right? Because there's only so many locations you can put a vending machine in, right?
No, I don't think we should look at it that way. Let's be optimistic. As long as we have one location that's profitable, that's how you grow your next one. Because we're not going to be the players in the market to buy 15 machines at once. Like if you and I start this, it's that one machine, and we're gonna, from what we've concluded today,
Mm-hmm.
it might be a hot, drink vending machine with no coins, no cash. It's credit card only, and also it might be stationed in a manufacturing or a warehouse. And I think that's like just from our what we've heard, right? And experience wise, I think it's the safest and it might bring in the most revenue for our first machine. So, let's be optimistic and just
Yeah.
grow your vending machine empire from there.
No, that makes sense to me. You know, you can't be drunk at a manufacturing place, so the risk of having our machine damaged is very 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 low.
Yeah.
But that's yeah, I'm excited. Once to have that started up.
Yeah. But if any of our audience wants to see this social experiment, come to fruition, highly encourage, you know, send us some money or, sponsor us. We will put this into action. You have my word. Dennis and I will call up some manufacturing companies and see if they're willing to let us put the machine there, do some due diligence, do the costing, and who knows, maybe the Vending Plus will have a vending machine.
Yeah, and to our listeners, if you aren't able to financially support us in this kind of venture, a like on this video would help a lot. Commenting something, even if a suggestion on what we should put into this hot vending machine to sell, that also help us tremendously. Giving us a follow and some likes in our social media and some communication would also help wonders.
Yep. And if you guys haven't, subscribe too.
Exactly. And that's it for me on my end. How about you, John?
No, that's good on my end. Let's keep this one short and sweet. We wanted to share our story. And, for those that listen, we appreciate your time and, all the best wherever you are right now.
All right. To all listeners, have a great night, evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Take care.
Ciao.